I'm not sure I've seen a mess quite like what is going on right now at Brown University. My goodness, if you have kids in college, whether it's at KU, at K-State, at Mizzou, I mean, it doesn't matter how big or how small that university is in the Kansas City area or just the region by and large. I'd be calling up and I'd be asking, hey, what is your plan? Because if an Ivy League institution is as incompetent as Brown has been, if the local officials in Providence, Rhode Island are as incompetent as they have been in the wake of this shooting over the weekend that left 2 people dead and up to 9 people injured at this point, well, what's that say for the rest of these towns? And Providence is not like some small college town. It's not Columbia. It's not Lawrence. It's not Manhattan. It's a pretty major city along the East Coast. And they have been way, way in over their heads in the wake of this tragedy over the weekend. And yesterday, it just got worse. 6:05, good morning. Glad you're here on KCMO Talk Radio. So these officials are not being honest with the people. You have had now several media outlets quoting students and other witnesses saying that the shooter, who is not in custody, they had somebody in custody. They released him. They're still looking for a shooter. But there are several media outlets who have reported that the shooter yelled Allahu Akbar before opening up fire in the building. Of course, that means God is most great. It is used by Muslims in prayer, as many of us know. And now you've got local officials being asked about this. Hey, did this guy yell something? What can you share? And take a listen to how uninterested they are in answering this question.
The report the shooter yelled something right before his shot came in. Can you tell us what that was?
Yeah, it's part of the investigation, John, and we'll, yeah.
Now, the only reason I asked that, though, is, for instance, like with the Unabomber, his brother recognized the writing. So it's possible a friend or family member might recognize if the person said something that was significant.
Correct.
So that's why you don't, other than the 9mm, is there anything else inside that auditorium that you could tell us?
No, that's correct. And listen, like I said earlier, investigations will bring us to evidence that we need to collect in order to be able to prosecute. With that being said, we're going to continue to collect evidence, and if it leads us to something to that nature that's going to be extremely helpful for us to identify somebody, we'll be the first ones to put it out.
Right,
Alex.
Follow up on John's question. Did the suspect yell, like has been reported, and there's been some erroneous reporting, but did he yell when he came in the classroom? And how valuable have witness statements been?
I'm just going to stop that real fast right there. That is, to take you behind the scenes of media, that is what they call a double-barreled question. You ask 2 questions at once, and then what happens is the person you are asking the question of is allowed to basically answer the question they want answered. So it's a double-barreled question. The first part of the question is a good question. Basically, once again, this reporter says, what was yelled in the hallways in the classroom of Brown University? Can you answer that? And then he goes on to say, and how valuable have witnesses been? Well, which one do you think the police chief is going to answer in Providence, Rhode Island, in the wake of this Brown tragedy? Obviously, he's going to pick the second one.
Those who survived.
Listen, my heart goes out to the victims. It goes out to the families, and I'll tell you that their cooperation has been extremely helpful. And that, with that being said, we'll continue, and I'm going to respect the fact that, and I hope that they get better, and my heart and soul goes out to them. So,
did he yell though? Did somebody
so that's
say
something that we're investigating. We took statements, and we have to confirm that.
So,
Mayor, a lot of cell phones.
a few questions for somebody.
We're gonna wrap it up here.
There you go. All right. Now, we're going to wrap it up. We're all done here. Nothing more to listen to or see here. We're done. We're over. All right. See you later. That's it. This is as pathetic as it gets. From a major American city. I mean, it's not New York, Chicago, L.A., or even Kansas City and Providence, Rhode Island, but it's a solid city. It's a big city. And they are now on day 4, and they don't have a guy. I mean, they've released some grainy photos, saying that the person's approximately 5'8" with a stocky build. Boy, that really narrows it down in the United States of America. Stocky? I mean, what do we have, 40% obesity rates in this country? Good to know he's stocky. That'll really get it down to, a couple 100 million people or so. That should do the trick. Earlier, a person of interest was detained in connection with the attack, but that person had since been released. So you still don't have any answers as you sit here and we sit here on a Tuesday morning in the wake of what happened. It is just absolutely tragic that they're not coming to any answers. And, of course, the longer this goes on, the harder it is to try to figure out who it is and where this person is. And you've got the FBI involved. You've got people pointing fingers at each other right now, but the agency is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the person responsible. So we'll see how it plays out. KCK, Steve, what's going on, my man?
Hey, buddy. I'm glad we had a successful surgery last night. There is a football team playing in January. It's Pete Mundo's Villanova Wildcats taking on Illinois State this week.
That's right. FCS semifinals. So let's stay on the tracks, though, big guy. What's going on?
Listen, this is about to go down the news. This is about to go down the news hole. I think you and I are both kind of on the same. You kind of alluded to it yesterday. The NFL has a phrase, protect the shield, and that's what they're doing. This is kind of an artsy-fartsy women's, elite women's college, and they have billions of dollars in the endowment, and they're not going to let anything. They're not going to let anything mess with that. So I
will say, and I don't know what you meant by it's not a women's college. You know that, right, Steve?
Well, predominantly. I don't think Cash or Dan Bongino can do anything with this because they've messed it up so bad. But I would be worried about the public safety, like you said, of the community, the public safety. In that the college is going to cover up for themselves. The college is all about protecting.
Yeah, but this is now an FBI investigation. This is an FBI investigation. How are they going to prevent the FBI from figuring out who this person is?
Well,
I agree.
According to Fox, the locals have control or have tried to take control of the investigation. I think the FBI is going to overrule them eventually. But this is just an absolute mess so far. This is just a total mess, and this will be, they'll be on to something else. The Charlie Kirk murder trial. This will be flushed, to the side. No one will ever remember. I will.
Well, I hope not. Thanks, Steve. I will say this. If Brown was left to its own devices, I agree with Steve that they would try to sweep this thing under the rug. But I will also note that I've been watching too much cable news over the last 24 hours because of this crazy national news cycle and Brown in Australia and, Rob Reiner and the whole thing. And CNN has been the network that has been most on the Brown story. Now, I don't know why. It is obviously a university that's Ivy League. You've got a lot of people in the Northeast, maybe some that work at CNN that have ties to the university. I don't know. I saw one of the anchors, his son, was visiting a friend at Brown over the weekend, and he was on television as well. It's the guy in the morning who always looks like he's about to drop a load. He's just, he always looks uncomfortable on the air. But his son was visiting a friend and was there over the weekend. He put him on television. So I'm just impressed thus far by how active CNN has been on the story. I don't believe that Brown is going to be able to cover this up. Not with Trump's DOJ and FBI on this story. And by the way, they definitely can't drop it until they have somebody arrested. Now, if they have somebody arrested and it turns out that he's motivated by Muslim extremism, yeah, they'll probably drop the story to the, third or fourth line. I agree with that. But we don't even have somebody arrested yet. So that's why they can't give this story up. 6:14, it's good to be here on KCMO. Happy Tuesday. Don't forget, it's Tirade Tuesday coming up at 8:30 this morning. If you're normally not here in the 8 o'clock hour, we allow listeners to rant and rave on whatever is on their mind. That's at 8:35 this morning here on KCMO Talk Radio. Speaking of a tirade, my goodness, the water in one part of Kansas City is not in good shape. Who's to blame? What's going on? We'll talk about it next here on KCMO. Did my man Luke Doris just say it's going to be a good day? Thank you, Luke. Thank you. Woo! That's right. I like hearing that from Luke Doris. We need one of those. We'll be hitting the low to mid-50s this afternoon. You got to like that. We're in a nice warming pattern here. We may be in the high 40s, low 50s, mid-50s throughout basically Christmas and, dare I say, New Year's. So that's outstanding after that cold blast we got over the weekend. We know it's coming, but I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, so where are we at right now when it comes to this Independence story? In Independence, the water system restoration is underway, but a boil water advisory remains in effect. I'm looking at this from the independencemo.gov website right now. They note here at about 7 p.m. Monday night, power was restored to the transformer at the Courtney Bend Water Treatment Plant. Turning the power on is part of the process. If all goes well with powering on the transformer, it will still take several hours to bring water pressure back up. Most of it, they note, will happen in the overnight hours. This restoration is a complex, carefully managed process following established emergency protocols to protect the water system as pressure is gradually restored. Crews continue to coordinate with regional partners, including Kansas City Water, which is providing supplemental water to help stabilize pressure citywide as part of the planned efforts. A boil water advisory remains in effect for all customers, even with water flowing again. This advisory is a standard safety measure issued when water service is interrupted and will remain in place until the system is fully stabilized and water quality testing confirms it is safe to lift. Crews continue to work and monitor in the overnight hours. We understand this disruption is challenging and appreciate the community's patience as this work continues, John.
Yeah, and they were going to run some tests this morning here, so that we should find out probably before lunch, I'm going to guess.
Okay.
It might be a surprise to get in the shower.
Yeah.
Of course, yesterday you were probably aware of it to kind of shut water down. They closed the schools, which are back in session today.
Good.
And then the courthouse was closed for a period of time, too, yesterday. So,
well, okay.
All kinds of problems. Yeah, and then they had a lady on TV running a salon, and, of course, she couldn't wash anybody's hair, so she lost what she figured was $300 for her. She was doing the foil treatment on the women's hair. She lost 2 appointments at $150 a pop.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. Borrow a little water from KCMO.
How about that?
I guess, too, if you live a little higher up in elevation, it's going to take you a little longer to get the pressure built up. So the higher up you live.
Well, I love how they put here in their post, they're like, we appreciate the community's patience. I don't know. You tell me in Independence. How patient are you having to boil water? And, I mean, are you allowed to shower this morning before work? Or are you calling into the boss and saying, listen, can't use the water, so I'm going to work from home today because if I show up, I'm going to smell like you know what. I mean, I don't have the answer to that, but I got a lot of texts from folks in Independence last night, and they were not happy at all with the government response, how this was playing out, shutting down schools. So this thing was certainly a mess yesterday. Hopefully, like you said, John, it's cleaned up by lunchtime or so.
Get the testing done. As I read into the story, though, it wasn't like this was an accident or a whoops. I think they were doing some maintenance and took down one of the deals, but then you know how that can happen. It's like, well, lost a bolt there, and we're going to have to send away for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't seem like the routine maintenance was quite routine, and that led to the issue.
Now, there's also this. Oak Grove city officials issued their own boil water advisory for customers yesterday after the outage in Independence. So this was also impacting Oak Grove. City advising water customers to use bottled or boiled water for consumption, cooking, or food preparation for humans and pets. Water filters should be replaced after the advisory has been lifted. According to Oak Grove officials, people can bathe and shower as usual, says Oak Grove officials, but children should be supervised so they don't ingest any water. The city advised customers to flush cold and then hot water from home tanks. You know, I'm the kind of guy in the shower, I like to ingest water and then just spit it out. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I'll like to drink some of the, I don't drink it, but ingest, I guess you would say, some of the water in the shower and just spit it out like I'm a ball player. I don't know why. I just like doing it, John. So if I was in Independence this morning, obviously that would not be a good idea.
Seems like I saw that on TV back in the 60s in a Zest commercial. No, and somehow it's like refreshing. People do that. They jump in the pool and come up and all, woo.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. So just if you do that, do not do that this morning in Independence, and you should be okay hopping in the shower. And if you have little kids like I do and you try to bathe them or put them in the shower, forget it. I mean, that's not happening. I can't tell you how many times, especially my two younger ones, they're still taking baths together. The older one's in the shower now. But the younger two will hop in the bath, and it's like, stop drinking each other's dirty bath water. Oh, my, this is gross. And, the 4-year-old in particular, she's getting a little too old for that. But now she does it because Dad says don't do it. So we got that thing going on.
Builds up the immunity, Pete.
Well, I'm a fan of building up the immune system. I'm with you there, John. I don't want to keep them in a bubble. But there's something I find really nasty about drinking bathwater with two little kids in it. I'm just like, stop doing that to each other. Goodness gracious. Oh, gosh. On the text line, Pete, why are there not backup generators for such a crucial utility? You would think they would have some kind of redundancy for issues that may come up. Pretty moronic. Well, I'm hoping to get the mayor on. I talked to Rory Rowland last night, the mayor of Independence, and he seemed open to coming on the show. And then he kind of ghosted me. So, I just sent him another text here a few minutes ago. I'm hoping he's going to come on KCMO this morning. They've been pretty tight-lipped in Independence. We have a good relationship with the city and the leadership. We've been fair to them. So I'm hoping we can get Mayor Rowland on the show this morning to answer some of those questions, because that's an excellent point. I mean, having a key utility like water not have some kind of backup for a situation like this is pretty surprising. But we'll try to get some answers on that if we can.
Yeah, it seemed what I was reading, they weren't expecting to have to use a backup. So we'll see if something went wrong in the process there. It was underestimated.
Well, that sounds like the engineers here. Well, we didn't expect to need this. We didn't think we'd have to use that, John.
Things like that happen, I guess.
It's like...
the universe is a strange place.
You prepare for the worst-case scenario. That's what you do. And it seems like that did not happen in Independence.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll monitor that. In the meantime, we are monitoring Patrick Mahomes, the ACL, and surgery is done. It was successful. It is complete. And from what we saw from the Chiefs, they say that the rehab will start immediately. Mark, have you seen any over-unders on a return date for Patrick Mahomes with this ACL injury that could be upwards of a year to recover from?
Yeah, I think right now week 1 is the over-under. So early September.
Right around what? September 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere in there usually, right?
I would say, let's do September 10th.
September, all right. That's what you're setting the over-under at for Mahomes, September 10th. Let me see. So the Labor Day is late this year. It's September 7th.
Okay.
Usually it's the Sunday after Labor Day is week 1, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So September 10th is good because then we can see if he practices before week 1.
Yeah. I mean, if the NFL season's going to start on Thursday, September 10th, it's usually the Thursday after Labor Day. Yeah, I didn't realize Labor Day is as late as it could be. It's September 7th this year. So that bodes well for a late start to the NFL season. There we go. I've got the backs of KCPD, right? I'm prefacing my comments by saying that because anyone who's listened to this show for 5 minutes or 5 years understands that. There is, I don't believe anybody who has a microphone in this community who will back the blue like this show will. That being said, I am really struggling ahead of today's Kansas City Board of Police Commissioners meeting with this idea that the police department is requesting $417 million for fiscal year 2026 and 2027. I went back and I looked it up, and I saw that KCPD had a budget in 23-24 of about $285 million. They're looking now for a 20% increase from about $360 million to $421 million. The city says it's going to be about $100 million short on revenues this year, compared to expenses. And while there's no doubt Kansas City has spent a lot of money on a lot of stupid stuff, okay, I'm not sitting here defending Kansas City's spending habits. I mean, these clowns were talking about reparations as of like 18 months ago. Thankfully, that ship has sailed. But at the same time, KCPD wanting a 20% budget increase. And really, I mean, do the math. From 23-24, you're talking about a $140 million increase in the budget from 3-4 years ago, a 50% increase from 3-4 years ago? For what? And by the way, I talked to a few people about this last night. It's not for raises for the cops. There are no raises in here for men and women in law enforcement. That's not what this is about. They got some good raises over the last couple of years. That's great. You got to stay competitive. And frankly, a lot of that is because of the screw-ups politically at City Hall. If City Hall didn't spend, the year of 2020 playing footsie with the defund the police crowd, we might not be in a situation where you've got to give some of these big raises and drop the residency requirement and do all these different things. But now, 20% hike? I mean, read the room. City's basically going broke. You've gotten massive budget increases the last few years. And now we're sitting here talking about this? You can be pro-cop while also say, there's got to be a little accountability here when it comes to where the money's going for the taxpayer. That's what this ultimately has to be about. Now, I did talk to some folks who said a lot of this is going to things like pensions, which the city kicked the can down the road of for far too long. I don't deny that. There's also lawsuit settlements involved here in this, from what I understand. The city's been very willing to settle some of these lawsuits that have come against KCPD to the tune of millions of dollars. That's part of the equation here. Health insurance costs have gone up. I understand all of that. Workers' comp up as well. And I did the math, and that's about $20, $30 million. We're still talking about another $20 to $30 million that I'm trying to figure out what we're talking about here, what the money's for. And at a time when Kansas City doesn't have the money, as much as they have spent money on a lot of stupid things, and they should spend a good amount of their money on law enforcement and policing in this town, I'll always have their backs on that. A 20% hike when there have been very generous increases over the last few years, well, even in my book, that seems a little extensive. So I'm just trying to get a read on what that's obviously about. 913-408-7957. Say you join us here on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM, streaming as always on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Let's go to a caller who wants to remain anonymous south of the metro. Go ahead.
Hey, Pete. I'm a city councilman from a small town of less than 10,000, about 30 minutes south of Kansas City. We went through our budget process this summer. We're on the Kansas side of the state line to get a little bit of background. Our police department came in wanting almost a 20% salary increase for 26, and that was before the benefits that were going to go up almost 20% as well. So it's going on everywhere. I'm not sure what the solution is. I know there's some large towns or large cities in Johnson County that are sort of driving this, it seems, because it seems to be a constant arms race for who can pay officers the most to keep them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we really have a problem. That's interesting, and I appreciate that. We really have a problem, to your point, where we don't have enough people who want to be cops. And frankly, 2020 probably set us back a generation on people wanting to be in law enforcement. So you have a supply and demand issue where you have more jobs available for people to be cops than you have people who want to get into the job. So it does create this arms race where cops say, hey, if I want to leave KCPD, I'll go to Overland Park. I'll go to Lee Summit. I'll go to wherever you're at down south. And that obviously does create this arms race. But for KCPD, at least as I understand it, in this 20% hike, it's not even for raises for members. It's just for things that I'm not even clear on right now.
Yeah, I can't speak to Kansas City, Missouri. I know, like I said, we had our own sort of issues, and I agree the 2020 thing definitely set us back. I know our department's under 20 officers, and we've been 2 officers short for at least 2 or 3 years now, just because we can't find anybody.
Wow. And I got to imagine, it's a pretty good gig being an officer down there. You guys probably get, or they probably get attaboys and things like that when they go around town, and they don't deal with some of the nonsense that KCPD probably deals with, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a small town. We're on a major highway, but that doesn't, it doesn't create the urban problems or the suburban problems that some of the larger municipalities have.
Exactly. Hey, thanks for the check-in on that. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Pete. Have a good day.
You as well. So that's an anonymous city council member down south on the Kansas side who just said this is happening all over the place. Well, guess what? Listen, someone's got to pay the bill. And you know who ends up paying the bill? You do. And that's where it's like, listen, I understand two things here. One, the nation did a lot of damage to itself on policing because of its handling and the media handling and the ridiculous protests that were anti-cop in 2020. And we're still paying the price on some of the things that caller just mentioned. But at the same time, after multiple raises the last few years, and obviously multiple budget increases the last few years, is now the time for KCPD to come out and say, we need another 20%. We got to get this thing to $420 million. When it was $285 million just 3 years ago. Now, that's ballsy. And frankly, I think for the taxpayer, it's fair to ask, I like the cops. I want the cops to be great in Kansas City. I'm going to have their back. I'm going to thank them for their service when I see them on the streets. But at the same time, I'm paying the bill, and I'd like to know exactly what this is all for. And it doesn't excuse Kansas City being reckless with their spending in other places. It's not about, but look at all the garbage they spend money on over here. That's not the point. We should want government accountability from all of the departments, from all the different places that take the money from the private sector and then use it to spend in public or on the public. Man, I just saw this weather forecast, one of our local stations I had flipped on there. I'm already looking forward to Saturday. I got to, I did, most of the leaves are done in the yard, but then randomly, you always have these leaves, usually these oak trees that just hang on to their leaves till like mid-December. And even though they're not mine, they somehow end up in my yard. And they've just been lingering there for the last 10 to 14 days or so. I haven't really touched it since the pneumonia. And I'm already looking forward to getting out there on Saturday. It's going to be 55 degrees. Let's go.
Woo! Yeah, those leaves, they just kind of, especially on a day like yesterday when there's a lot of wind, they just kind of fling around and they go to whoever's yard it lands in.
I don't know how they end up right in the corner of my, garage, right outside of it, but it's just like clockwork, man. And I haven't gotten out there. Kids are going to be upset, though. It doesn't look like they're getting a white Christmas. They seem to think that Christmas means it's automatically going to snow. And I don't know when I'm going to break the news to them, John. Maybe they're listening right now at home on the Google Home or the Alexa. But, girls, it doesn't look like you're getting a white Christmas in Kansas City this year, John.
However, we've received 4 to 6 inches of oak leaves in our front yard. Oh. I've got 2 trees in the right angle garage door to the house.
Yeah.
And so, vortex forms. And I've got literally up halfway up my shin a pile of leaves right in front of the steps. And they don't move. They just gather there.
Well, so you got to get out there, too, this weekend.
Yep.
We all got work to do.
Yeah, I got to blow them in the neighbor's yard.
There was a pile between my house and my neighbor's house when I left work yesterday. And then when I got home, the pile was all in his yard. The wind had just blown it there.
Oh, man.
Not my fault.
Amazing.
That's amazing how that works, right? I don't want to see you on the Ring doorbell, Mark, blowing your leaves into your neighbor's yard, okay?
No, that's not me.
Please, don't be that guy. No one likes that neighbor. Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's got Isley doing it, a handful at a time. Small handful.
Put the kids on it, right? Get them in trouble. Oh, my goodness. So Andy Reid talking yesterday about Patrick Mahomes, the ACL, of course, tear that he suffered. He underwent surgery yesterday, successful surgery down in Dallas for Patrick Mahomes. And here's what Andy Reid had to say about it.
I've had a good visit with him a couple different times. So he's in a good place. He always feels like he let people down, but then he comes back and he's ready for the challenge ahead, which is what's real right now. He's just got to get through surgery wherever it might be, and then move on from there.
Well, it happened in Dallas last night. Dr. Dan Cooper repaired the tear in the left ACL, and now Mahomes will begin that rehab process immediately. I'm amazed how many people are just destroying Andy Reid. Now, I understand that this offense has not been great over the last really 2-3 years. Over the last 3 seasons, the Chiefs have not been top 15 in points. That is a disaster when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, regardless of the challenges around him. They've been a middle-of-the-road offense on points per game for the last 3 seasons. But, I mean, I'm seeing some extreme stuff on social media, like fire Andy Reid. Okay, 2 things can be true. Firing Andy Reid is nuts. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. But then also, Andy does desperately need to revamp the offense because the schemes are just awful. Can we all agree on that? That he's got to get some new voices, some new ideas, some fresh faces into that coaching staff right now, John?
As a football fan, the one thing I would really like to know is what play was called and where did the execution break down?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think Patrick's part of the execution breakdown.
Yes, that's fair. Yeah. That's absolutely
right.
fair.
No
doubt about it. I mean, I'm not saying that he's absolved from any of this. His interception on Sunday
There's so much
was terrible.
to go around, you can't pin it on one guy, right?
Yeah, no.
Literally,
you can't.
You're going
for
the 3rd Super Bowl. It's just a hangover, just the way it is. Here we are. It's the morning after the night before,
I do want to see him just lose out, though. I know it's going to be hard against the Titans and the Raiders. But, man, I would love to see a top 10 draft pick at this point.
Back to the Broncos, I don't know. If they're already cinched up and they're already resting people, it's going to be hard to maybe lose that.
I know.
See, right?
I know. Right? That's the difficult thing.
Yeah.
If the Broncos have the division lined up, and who knows where the 1 seed's at by next week, but they may say, hey, we want the Chiefs to win because we don't want them to get a better draft pick.
And yet, what if Patrick's knee injury is the final closure of bad luck? And all of a sudden, from now on, it's going to be like the beginning of The Simpsons when it opens up. Butker's going to nail a 70-yard field goal and all kinds of crazy stuff's going to start happening. Wow, man. Kareem Hunt went 99 yards on that play.
Yeah. They, recover an onside kick late in the game. Something stupid like that happens. Oh, man. I will tell you what, though. I am glad to see some local media and national media jump on my bandwagon of wondering why Travis Kelce doesn't talk to the media after losses. Us Weekly writes this story. Travis Kelce refused to talk to reporters after being eliminated from the playoffs. This was then picked up by the Kansas City Star. Travis Kelce dodged the media, they write, again after the Chiefs were eliminated from the playoffs, marking the first time in over a decade the team is not postseason bound. They write here, refusing to speak to the media after losses has become a habit for Kelce this season, who also skirted the responsibility following the Chiefs games against the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos. Instead, Kelce has taken to using his New Heights podcast as a way to discuss the Chiefs' difficult season in a more controlled setting. That's written by Us Weekly and syndicated into the Kansas City Star yesterday afternoon. Good for them. I mean, I have been on this for a month, and finally I'm getting a little bit of traction here, John, from other folks in media.
In a more controlled setting. Boy, are we swimming with the guppies here in Kansas City compared to East Coast media. How much heat does a Chief take?
I know. That's what I'm saying, and I'm not, listen, we have some good sports journalists, not great.
Sure.
We have some good folks in the locker room who will ask some solid questions. I firmly believe that. But this is not Philadelphia, right?
Right,
this is not Boston dealing with the Red Sox. Travis Kelce can't hack a few questions with the Kansas City media, who generally are just going to, they will give him the benefit of the doubt every single time. They're not going to really push him all that much. If he can't handle that as a leader making $20 million a year, face of the franchise, you got to be kidding me, brother. Come on now. And finally, there's some other people talking about it. I was glad to see it over the last couple of days. Now, speaking of the NFL, this went viral yesterday. An Eagles fan had a police officer show up at his house. Why? Well, he put up on social media that he was going to harm himself. after the Eagles lost to the Chargers on Monday Night Football a week and a half ago. It just came out via like a Ring doorbell video, and here's what it sounded like.
Yep. Hey, man, how's it going? Are you Jake?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, so someone called in reference to your Facebook post.
The Eagles lost, man.
I know. So
I'm fine. The Eagles lost and the dogs are barking. I'm pissed.
I gotcha. You don't plan on hurting yourself?
No. Jalen Hurts threw 3 guys. Turned the ball over 6 times.
That's what. Yeah. Okay. All right, man. I appreciate it. All right. Take it easy.
Jeez. This guy's name was Jake Beckman. And he posted on social media that he was probably going to hurt himself. He used a different word. I'll let you know. He posted this after the Eagles lost to the Chargers on Monday Night Football, before the Chargers came to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. And now that Ring doorbell video has gone viral over the last 24 hours. After a cop showed up to his house, somebody obviously reported that social media post, and he goes, bro, I'm fine. The Eagles lost. Jalen Hurts had 6 turnovers. Leave me alone. And the cop's like, okay, just checking, buddy. It's all right. It's going to be okay. It still is just a game. It's going to be all right. So I just want to play this. This is something that I heard from a guy named Mark Halperin. You may remember him from Fox. He used to be on Fox News, and he was on a lot of the cable channels. Now he's on his own, and he does a daily political talk show called Two Way. He was previously the political director for ABC News. I mean, this guy has very deep ties to the political world. And, you know, he's right of center, I would say, but he's got ties on both sides of the political aisle. So he said something here about 2028 yesterday on his show that went viral. And I just want to share with you what I've heard on this as recently as 3 weeks ago. So here's what Mark Halperin had to say yesterday.
But as for 28, I have backed way off my belief that the vice president's a lock for the nomination and that the president will endorse him. I still think if the president endorses him, he is a lock, and I still think that's the most likely outcome. But between a lot of donors, very prominent donors in the party saying, we don't want a coronation. We don't want a coronation. We think this should be competitive. Then some people questioning JD's political instincts on a variety of topics in the last few months, where he's done some things that have been controversial, including related to some of these feuds within the party. And then finally, Ted Cruz and others potentially making it clear that they're going to run. They're not waiting to see who Trump endorses. All that makes me think maybe this is up for grabs. And if it is, then what does Turning Point do? Do they get involved in the nomination fight? They'd be extremely powerful potentially in Iowa, even in a weakened state. So I think it's all up for grabs.
So he's saying there that it's not going to be a coronation for J.D. Vance in 2028. And first off, there should be no coronation in any primary. I mean, you know, if you're a Republican voter and you just knocked the Democrats for basically coronating Kamala Harris after Biden drops out and then being like, we must coronate J.D. Vance. I love J.D. Vance. I think he's great. But, yeah, I'm not all about a coronation either. But it was 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago now, that I just happened to be having a conversation with somebody who has run presidential campaigns, very prominent presidential campaigns. And this person said to me, he goes, I was like, what's your read? I know it's really early. And I haven't told this story yet because there's been no reason to. But then I saw Halperin say what he said yesterday. So what's your read on 28? And he goes, oh, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a, full-blown primary. There will be no coronation. And I said, even if Trump endorses? He said, yeah, I believe that, even if Trump endorses. I said, why? He said, well, you've got about 30 to 40% of Republicans who say they're Trump Republicans is how they would describe themselves. But you have a lot of people who are, yes, Trump voters, but they may not identify themselves as like officially Trump Republicans. So you have a lot of lanes for a lot of different people to get themselves into the arena ahead of 2028. He said he knew for a fact there will be very prominent people who are going to run. And while obviously Trump endorsing J.D. Vance would be a huge deal and would obviously be something that would go a long way in 2028, unless, you've got another 10, 15 person primary, this thing could very much still be up for grabs because by and large, data shows too that voters don't really like to be told who to vote for. They don't. It's just human. It's American nature, right? Not just human nature. It's certainly an American nature to not be told, hey, this person says vote for this person, I'm going to do it. So it is absolutely going to be up for grabs. And as much as I like JD and think he'd be a great nominee, I don't want to hand anything to anybody. I mean, make them earn it as far as I'm concerned. And now you got Halperin talking to some of the big donors out there who are basically confirming that. But I can tell you through somebody who has run presidential campaigns, they believe that it is going to be a very, not just wide open race potentially, but a lot of people are going to be getting in come, probably 18 months from now. I mean, it's not that far off when you really think about it. So day 4 of this manhunt for the school shooter at Brown University, and it's amazing the incompetency that's been on display from local authorities in Providence, Rhode Island, to those university leaders. I mean, this is as prestigious a university as obviously you can find. They got an endowment in the billions of dollars, Ivy League. I mean, the whole deal, right? It doesn't get more prestigious than Brown. And I'm not saying that the people in charge of the university should know how to investigate any of this, but you combine and stack up local authorities with Brown, with the people in charge, and those who have been the face of this operation thus far, and it has been an embarrassment. So they do not have anybody. They had someone in custody early on after the shooting, and then they released him. Authorities are still hunting for the perpetrator of this mass shooting at Brown. And they have released some photos and videos of a person that was taken about 2 p.m. on Saturday, hours before the attack. The suspect is approximately 5'8" with a stocky build, and there's a $50,000 reward leading to an arrest and a conviction. A 5'8" stocky dude in America in 2025, that should narrow it down to a couple 100 million people. I mean, that is just trying to find a needle in a haystack at this point. They don't know where this guy is. And then you've got these authorities going on camera and talking to the press. And, I mean, listen to this. Listen to these mayors, these police chiefs talk about this in Providence. They don't have any answers.
President Donald Trump has said that Brown University is to blame for this shooting, saying it's the school's problem. Is that a fair criticism, or do you disagree with what the president said?
I don't think it's fair criticism.
Colonel. Can you expand on that?
Why not? Because Brown University is not collaborating with you guys. You're lying to the press over here. They have facial recognition. We know that because they follow the student, they follow everybody in the neighborhood. Facial recognition. They need to release that data so everybody know who the guy is in video. We got the video Saturday. Why you guys release the video today?
Governor,
this is the question.
Listen,
Colonel, I would just...
John, please, just for a second. A couple things. First of all, Brown University and Brown Public Safety, Brown Police Department has been a close collaborator throughout this process.
That's not true.
I do not accept that criticism.
No, come on. We know that.
Secondly, everyone you see behind us, we've all been working for now 49 hours. We're tired.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, we're tired. We've been working for 49 hours. We don't usually work 49 hours in a month. We're exhausted. You have 2 students who are dead, 9 others who are injured. 8 of those 9 are in the hospital. And now you want to pull out the sympathy card as the mayor of Providence, Rhode Island?
One thing they like to tell you, like Panasonic last Friday,
okay,
this is contained. This isn't a threat to the rest of the community. Right now, you can't say that.
They can't say it.
On top of all of that.
You're absolutely right. You can't say it. Now, there's another angle of this, of course, that there's a belief local authorities and Brown wants to avoid talking about. So, according to multiple media outlets who have quoted students and other witnesses, they have said the shooter yelled, Allah Akbar. Of course, that's Arabic for God is the greatest, right? Before he opened up fire in the building. Local authorities are not confirming that or denying that. They're just not talking about it. Local media asked yesterday, hey, what's the deal, guys?
The report the shooter yelled something right before his shot came in. Could you tell us what that was?
Yes, part of the investigation, John, and we'll, yeah.
Now, the only reason I asked that, though, is, for instance, like with the Unabomber, his brother recognized the writing. So it's possible a friend or family member might recognize if the person said something that was significant.
Correct.
So that's why you don't, other than the 9mm, is there anything else inside that auditorium that you could tell us?
No, that's correct. And listen, like I said earlier, investigations will bring us to evidence that we need to collect in order to be able to prosecute. With that being said, we're going to continue to collect evidence, and if it leads us to something to that nature that's going to be extremely helpful for us to identify somebody, we'll be the first ones to put it out.
All right, why, if you have that information and you have witnesses and students who are saying, yes, before this individual opened up fire, he was screaming Allah Akbar, why would you not put that out there? Who are you protecting and what are you trying to hide here? You don't have anybody in custody. Get everything out there that you possibly can. Let the public help you. It's not about creating some environment of some anti-Muslim environment. But you know what? That's pretty important information. Weekend of starting off Hanukkah, guy walks into a room, the professor's Jewish, and he starts yelling Allah Akbar as he opens up fire. I mean, that starts to connect some dots, does it not? It's just a horrible way they've handled this. We know that millions of Americans, including many in the Kansas City area, are going to see their health insurance costs increase. And if you are on the Affordable Care Act plan, a.k.a. Obamacare, you're going to see probably a pretty big uptick. And part of that is because the Obamacare subsidies are going away at the end of the year. These subsidies have been in place since COVID. They were set to expire. The GOP is allowing them to expire as they should. But obviously what's happening now is their political opponents are saying, oh my gosh, look at the health insurance costs going up for tens of millions of Americans, and we need to subsidize this. What, with taxpayer money? No, you don't. You got to find a better plan. There's nothing about the Affordable Care Act that is affordable anymore. So this is impacting the private sector, the public sector. The whole industry's an absolute utter mess right now. It is as broken as any major industry in this country. So what you're seeing now, too, is increases in health insurance costs for a lot of folks who are, let's say, retirees with the Olathe Fire Department. And Channel 41 highlighted this yesterday. Now, this goes back a month ago. You may recall there was a guy named Todd Hart, retired captain with the Olathe Police Department, and he went on TV and was bemoaning the fact that his health insurance is going up. I had him on the show. He's a great guy. He came in the studio. He defended himself. He said some of these things were taken out of context because his point was that he had been warning the city of Olathe for years about how eventually they were going to have to spend a lot more money on the retirees' health insurance. If not, there was going to be a major uptick. And they didn't do anything about it. They kicked the can down the road. That was his allegation and his insinuation here on the show. And I'll take him at his word. But I'm having a hard time, to be honest, in a world where a lot of regular folks in the private sector are struggling right now with their costs, to listen to retired public employees say, well, woe is me. Here's 41's coverage of the story out of Olathe.
As we've been sharing with you in recent weeks, the cost of health care could soon spike for millions as subsidies making insurance through the Affordable Care Act more affordable expire.
Hold on, stop that right there. Subsidies, listen to how that gets read by the 41 anchor. Subsidies that make the Affordable Care Act more affordable are set to expire, meaning it's not affordable. If you need to subsidies are not just things that like fall out of the sky. Subsidies is your taxpayer dollars, or I guess really, our kids and grandkids' taxpayer dollars, because we're $38 trillion in debt and the debt's increasing every single day. But you get the point. Subsidies are not just things that magically appear from the government. They're not like candy. It means it's your money, our money, that is being spent to subsidize a system that is so broken it doesn't live up to its name of the Affordable Care Act, without the government subsidizing it to make it affordable. But the intro there for 41, I'm watching this and I'm like, all right, don't throw something at the TV. You got a nice TV. Don't pull a John Anthony and start yelling at the TV. I don't want to be there yet in my life. So I just kind of deep breath and let the story breathe a little bit, John. That's what I did last night. I didn't want to channel my inner you.
Yeah, I'm going to get an EV. I can afford a Prius, but I want a Tesla, so who's going to help me out here, right?
Where's your subsidy, man?
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness. Let's continue here. Channel 41.
This impacts about 22 million Americans now facing tough financial decisions and how they'll afford their health care. Some could not wait for the federal government to act. This is Gary Nickerson, a retired Olathe firefighter. He faced choosing that ACA coverage or coverage from the city of Olathe that also saw costs spike. We've heard from him before when another retiree reached out to us to get answers on why the cost of coverage through the city was so high.
Our Johnson County reporter Elise Schoenig has been following through on this story that she first uncovered weeks ago. Elise, Gary just reached back out to you recently about his plan, right?
Yeah, right, Caitlin. And Gary called it a no-win situation. So he's now scaling back on his health care coverage. The higher deductible plan that he chose to go with is not ideal, but he says he couldn't count on Congress.
These mementos help Gary Nickerson look back. He spent 3 decades as an Olathe firefighter.
I basically have lost trust in the city that I grew up in. Completely.
I first met Gary in November.
We just got notified about a month ago. My personally is going for a single person from $183 roughly to $1,000
per month.
Per month.
And he wasn't alone in his concerns.
This is absolutely ridiculous. This is not sustainable.
With ACA subsidies in limbo, Gary says he reluctantly chose a different plan offered by Olathe. He says he couldn't count on the federal government to decide in time.
The whole government of the United States shut down over 100% increase, and we were seeing 200%, 400%, 600% increases.
Okay, so then what's the, like, with all due respect, the bitching and the moaning, what do you want? Do you want the Olathe taxpayer to pick up your health insurance bill? Because I'm done with that. I'm not doing that. I got my own bills. I got 3 kids. I guess you can be mad at the government if you want, but you know what? I'm sorry. There are pensions involved here, and I'm all about, listen, especially when it comes to cops, first responders, throw in fire, and yes, even teachers to some extent, although I think that people in the administrative level, I mean, these pensions are out of control. But you throw a little bit of coin to these individuals, especially those who risk their lives, or maybe they make a little less money over the life of their career to get a pension on the back end. I'm okay with that to a certain degree. I don't think it's entirely black and white. But having this local news piece on 41 last night basically just be a complain fest about how your health insurance is going up. Well, gosh, look at our property tax bills. Look at our health insurance costs. No one's doing stories on that, and no one should, because we're all in the same boat on a lot of these things, okay? The cost of everything has gone up, and you know what? The government is a big reason this has happened. The government being involved in all this is a big reason we find ourselves in this position to begin with. From the local level, in the way that local governments have mismanaged these pensions by and large and mismanaged the spending in the schools and things like that, that's led to property tax increases, to obviously the federal level, where the more they get involved in anything, the more the costs of those things, like health insurance, increase. That's what's going on here.
It does affect everybody, like you say. But the difference between you and the guys on TV is you have self-awareness.
Yeah?
You know what's coming out of your mouth as you say it.
I mean, it's so out of touch, man. It's so out of touch from these guys.
I have sympathy for no one my age or older complaining.
Mm-hmm.
You've had plenty of time to prepare at this point in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly right. And I'm not here to tell somebody else what to do with their time. But if you are able-bodied and you're not like 85 years old, you know how many people I know work in multiple jobs, including myself? And, there's a lot of things I've got going on here, a lot of hats I'm wearing, because that's what you do. You sack up, you put on your big boy pants, and you do what you got to do, and you stop saying, well, the government's not taking care of me enough, which means the taxpayer, in your eyes, is not taking care of you enough. And you know what? I'm done with that.